This episode of The Tome Show is brought to you by listeners like you. Thank you to our patrons at patreon.com/The Tome Show. Welcome to The Tome, a D&D news, reviews, and interviews show, and I'm your Tome host, Jeff Greiner.
And I'm Tracy Hurley, and in this episode number 402, we're gonna shoot spikes from our tails as we look at the 2024/25 version of the Monster Manual in part 22 of the series.
And joining us for this episode is the madman of The Tome Show. Branda Stoddard comes to us from Dimension 20, Worlds Beyond Number, and other things, as well as being a Tome Show regular, and is also known to be a reckless arsonist.
I was going to deny those charges, but apparently I'm well known for it, so... All right, Pookie, let's burn this mother down.
Oh, that works out well with the previous conversation about you being so contrarian. Gonna burn it all down.
That's right.
Also on the team is the mage of the Tome Show from Gnome Stew. What do I know, JR? The podcast they go with advantage. It's Jared Rascher, our baseline spellcaster of the party.
Hi. I am unprepared, so I can't cast any spells.
Oh, darn.
But at least you exist at 3 different CRs. That's so convenient.
That's true.
And we are still talking about the latest Monster Manual, D&D 5. We got an update in 2024, and we're doing a monster-by-monster dive into this book. To get us started, it's disclosure time. Jared purchased this book, and the rest of us got review copies.
It's always good to remind people that Jared has integrity, and the rest of us are shills. All right, so we finished the L's last time, and now we are talking about the M's. There's a lot of M's. There's a reasonable chance at the speed at which we move that it'll take us at least a couple of episodes to get through the M's. We'll see what we can do. So we start with our next humanoid NPC collection of stat blocks. The things that in this version of the Monster Manual, it's worth noting that they don't assign a species to these stat blocks. So these mages could be orcs or humans or elves or centaurs or whatever with relative light restraint.
Humanoid.
So not centaur?
Right.
If you subscribe to the idea that all these very humanoid-shaped things are not humanoids. Of course, centaurs aren't humanoid-shaped things either. Anyway.
At some risk of revisiting this conversation, this was a significant mechanical point in my Wednesday game last week, where we were fighting a Githyanki, and I wanted to use Hold Person. And I'm playing a Githyanki, so I'm subject to Hold Person. Because the PC Githyanki are still humanoid. Mm-hmm. Anyway, moving on.
I would argue that's where a DM comes in to do reasonable things.
And in point of fact, that is what happened.
Yes.
The DM knows what the hell is up and understood, oh, this is about Hold Person. Yeah, okay, she should be subject to Hold Person. Cool.
In the same way that in my games, I am 100% certain that goblins and gnolls are still going to be affected by sleep. So, anyway, mages. If you don't know, the term mage in D&D goes back to the beginnings of the game. It was the default spellcaster class, and it was just short for magic user, as I recall. And then it has fallen out of vogue, I guess, in the terminology for PCs, because now we have wizards and sorcerers, and mage sort of filled both roles previously. But as of 3rd edition, we no longer have a mage class. We have a wizard class and a sorcerer class and a warlock class now, and an artificer class and whatever other things that we might call have bundled all into mage before. But for monster stat blocks or for NPC stat blocks, that distinction is not always as meaningful. The important thing is here's an NPC that runs around and casts spells. So we still have a mage stat block. Is that more or less the gist of the situation?
Yeah, that seems to get a pretty good handle on it.
Because we don't have like separate sorcerer or wizard stat blocks. We might have warlocks.
I think there might be some, but it's usually like sorcerers. Feel like most of those are like based on a specific subclass rather than just general sorcerer. However, it's probably worth noting that the 5.5 stat blocks for the mages have the wizard keyword as part of their type.
And not the sorcerer keyword.
Interesting.
The 5.0 mages and archmages make it very explicit that they are wizards.
In that case, I both stand corrected and would like to point out that that's stupid. I mean, I don't have a problem with them having the wizard like subclass and clearly being statted as wizards, but then call them wizards. Why do a throwback to this older naming convention that newer players aren't going to recognize?
I mean, personally, I would call them Dwemer crafters, but that's a whole other thing.
Yeah, and you would be wrong too.
But better for your SAT score. So there's that.
and then that's extra interesting because the D10 random chart in the background lore for our mage entry here lists all the kinds of different things that a mage might be, and some of them are very clearly like a scion whose powers manifest as spells. Well, that's a scion, not a wizard. I would argue that a witch is not a wizard because there's an excellent witch subclass from the wonderful folks who designed for Worlds Beyond Number. So yeah, there's some weird things going on here about they're clearly wizards, but they're trying to be able to play other roles as well. Is that fair to say?
I would say yes. I mean, they do like to repurpose stat blocks. It is interesting, though, that they like to repurpose stat blocks, but then go the extra step of adding in that wizard keyword in there that wasn't in the 2014 rules.
That's what I'm saying.
I actually don't mind those little class keywords. I actually kind of like them in some things because it kind of bumps you towards, okay, this is what you should probably be using it for. And also, once in a while, it is maybe useful to know, like, if something interacts with a class, this NPC can do it. So, like, if you were going to say, only a wizard could read this book, we have to keep the NPC mage alive because he has the wizard keyword, so he'll be able to read from this book. And the nice thing is, if you kill them, they have component pouches, much like liches.
Well, good.
So the CR2 apprentice was not.
We're doing. We have three different levels of mage. We have the apprentice, the mage, and the archmage. Or archmage. Yeah,
and the mage apprentice. I want to say that the mage apprentice was in something, but it wasn't in the monster manual.
Okay.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah, I just looked it up.
I was saying it's weird that they clearly are making the mage a wizard when we have the D10 chart that explicitly calls them out sometimes as other things, like the magical engineer, which feels artificer, or the scion, which is a scion, or the witch, which is clearly its own thing if you've been listening to Worlds Beyond Number, because they've designed some wonderful witch classes over there.
Well, thank you very much, and I do recommend it to all and sundry.
So it is weird, though, that the mage, they are both trying to make the mage not a wizard and also a wizard.
It's really just, hey, we can't release custom stat blocks for every single thing. Or we can, but not in just the monster manual.
Yeah.
So this will tide you over for a lot of situations until we publish more stuff.
And that actually segues nicely into the point that Jared was just making, which is that we have 3 stat blocks here, including the mage apprentice, and the Mage Apprentice did not apparently appear in the Monster Manual from 2014, but did appear elsewhere.
Yep. It appears as the Apprentice Wizard in Volo's Guide to Monsters. And I mean, they are not terribly useful. I'm gonna be real about it. But yeah, I think that any way you slice it, you've got to sort of say to yourself that just Arcane Burst all by itself is quite a lot better than what the Apprentice Wizard has going on. It's not especially close because their attack cantrips are in Volo's are as a first level spellcaster. They're 1 die of damage plus the modifier that friends it ain't much.
They're first level spellcasters, but they're CR2.
Actually, they're CR 1/4 at as Apprentice Wizards. I may not have a good CR2 to point to. Let me see.
I was going to say, there's been so many NPC stat blocks with so many different things on them. I don't remember if there's a strict specific one that maps to the CR or if this is just brand new, but I think it's worth noting.
Actually, we've got the Thayan Apprentice that's sort of, it's at least CR2. Its function is sort of different because of it's for the Doom Vault.
Right.
It has a trait that is about being in the Doom Vault. So,
I mean, it would be appropriate if it was Thayan because, like, all of the artwork and the quote here are all from Thayan.
Yeah, fair.
I do think it's funny, though, getting back to our confused class story here. The Arcane Burst is 120 feet doing force damage. That feels like some sort of Arcanist, but not a wizard.
Yeah, my man multi-class just a little tiny bit, little splash.
Took a little Eldritch Blast there. No, I'm sorry, Arcane Burst. Totally not an Eldritch Blast.
Right. Well, it's a firebolt with a serial numbers filed off also.
Or a magic missile that you have to roll to hit. Well, no, because it does more damage than that.
Stir that heresy and I won't hear it. What do you think this is? The rule cyclopedia?
Right. So we don't have a comparison really for the Mage Apprentice. That's just a whole new stat block for us. And they have, it's a CR2 Mage, Wizard, whatever. It's got basically this Arcane Burst cantrip that it can do infinitely, as well as a handful of other low-level spells.
That's essentially right.
Was that?
That's essentially right. Yeah.
And which made an appearance actually recently in my Spelljammer campaign. We have a formerly beloved NPC who ended up turning traitor, and so I needed that spell list off the stat block to figure out what was in his spell book, so the party wizard could loot it.
I mean, I will say, if you have an apprentice as a supporting spellcaster in an encounter that you build, Thunderwave's not nothing. I mean, that's...
Ice Knife's okay, too.
I mean, if your NPC can't cause a little bit of chaos with a disguised self, what are we doing here?
Right? So, but we do have a comparative stat block to the mage.
Absolutely.
It's interesting in the areas, like in some of these collective stat blocks, they have gone out of their way to like not have a baseline anymore. You know, we don't have, I may be wrong in this example, but like in some of these stat blocks, we may not have just Null anymore, but there's a Null warrior who has sort of replaced the baseline. But in this one, we still have just a baseline mage, and then everything else is a qualifier. There's a little bit weaker than the baseline mage with the apprentice. There's stronger than the baseline mage with the archmage.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
It's basically true, though the kind of Knoll and maybe Goblin and Kuotoa comparison sort of circles back to the fundamental baseline-ness of your core player species, the player's handbook player species.
so,
Right.
So it's okay. It's not okay to baseline a species, but maybe it's acceptable for a class.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Because you're going to go along and describe the character, and like whatever species you tack on in D&D's view doesn't need to even affect it mechanically.
Right.
Like this is not what anyone on this podcast right now would do. I get that. Don't at me. But like if you make this mage a dwarf, there is nothing in the game that inherently gives them dark vision.
Right.
Right.
Other than there is very clear rules that the DM gets to make things reasonable.
Right.
That is clearly explicitly in the rules.
Oh yeah. You can and should. The game doesn't have a mechanism to do it for you, is I guess what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
So, and in their defense, the mechanisms to do it for you would get so abstruse as to not be worth the page space.
Sure.
So, just do this where it matters is actually probably better in
Right.
about 99% of all cases.
I feel like there should be a paragraph about that at the beginning of the book, and maybe there is, and I've forgotten. Just hey, there's these NPC stat blocks. You know, as you change their species, just tweak accordingly. It's fine.
Yeah, fair.
So we have our CR6 mage, our CR6 baseline mage. They've got a handful of spells.
They've got a heck of a lot more hit points. They've gone way up in the hit point department.
Because somehow they're wizards and their hit die is a D8. Because that's how wizards work.
Because they're medium-sized creatures. even the small ones are medium-sized creatures. Shut up.
I'm just saying that wouldn't have flown back in 3rd edition.
Oh,
yeah,
goodness.
and that was one of the most unbearable things about GMing 3rd ed. I call the panel's mind back to the years of lonely fun of, okay, how many skill points does this bastard have? What am I doing? Oh my god!
I almost feel like, Brandis and I and a couple other people may have had discussions not too long ago about having to stack stupid classes onto a monster stat block in order to represent its abilities in 3rd edition.
It may have come up.
Boy, did I enjoy the fun thought experiment of throwing random templates on things. The idea of a vampiric dragon was hilarious, and then they turned it into a character in a novel.
Yeah.
So,
like templates as a source of inspiration were great then and remain great now.
Yep.
Mechanically, let's change the subject.
One of the things I really like about the way they're doing stat blocks these days is everything isn't just a collection of spells, right? Everything, even the spells are broken down into actions, bonus actions, and reactions. So the bonus actions and reactions that the mage have are just spells, but it's specifically the spells that it can cast as a bonus action or a reaction. I don't have to just dig through the spell list and figure out, oh, wait, they can Misty Step. I can do that as a bonus action, or I should throw up a counter spell here, or whatever.
I'll also say this, like, if you compare this mage to the mage that it's supposed to be that was also CR6, this one is actually going to do something instead of casting one spell and then being gone.
Yeah.
Right. 40 hit points is always a bad problem.
It's got those hit points.
And honestly, like, yeah, I guess it still had like Fireball and Cone of Cold, but like this one, if it gets into that position where it's not throwing the spell, it still has multiple attacks that it can target multiple things. It's just, it is not quite the one trick pony. And like you said, it can Misty Step. So like if everyone closes on it, it will actually move and not just get mutilated by all the PCs.
Right.
Assuming its turn actually comes up in time. Just saying.
Yes. But it also gets counterspell and shield. Shield being the important one for survivability there.
But counterspell being the one that's more annoying and funnier. But that's not new either. They had counterspell before. They had a good mix of spells before. They just didn't have the staying power.
They had counterspell before, but it was you had to decide which of your spell slots you were going to use for it. Whereas the way it's built now, it can just do that 3 times a day. So you're not worried about whether you're using a fireball to counterspell.
I also find it interesting that they just abandoned the idea of giving them a melee weapon, because it's never the best idea. Like as a DM, I can just say, yeah, sure, they've got a dagger or whatever, but why would they use it? They have spells.
Right. And what that really comes back to, as you're kind of saying, is to the DM reading the stat block, that dagger is a trap choice.
Right.
And they are trying to, not waste your time.
Right. Now, again,
you can give them a dagger if that suits the moment, but
they've walked into a dead magic zone. What do you do now? Well, okay, I can pull up the old stat block and roll up a dagger.
Right.
I will say something that I wish the stat block had that I know we will also say, well, it's because of line space, but I would almost rather Arcane Burst said choose between these damage types instead of just making it force.
I agree with that strongly.
Sure.
Yeah.
Honestly,
it would just be more interesting.
Honestly, that would help some things as well, because one of the things about that Arcane Burst is that it specifically calls it out as either being melee or ranged, and I can use it to simulate different spells that I know of if I can change the damage type. Oh, I'm going to make it a melee attack. We'll make it lightning damage and call it Shocking Grasp.
For sure.
Or fire damage and it's Firebolt or whatever. Yep. But here we are. So yeah, I like the mage has more staying power. That's generally been my experience with a lot of the original 2014 stat blocks, is that they just don't survive long enough for me to be able to do fun things with them as a DM.
Yeah, there's some encounters in Curse of Strahd where there are spellcasters involved, and it'd be like, oh, this would be great, and I can describe them as all creepy, and then the PCs will not be creeped out for 1 second because they'll get initiative and then murder them, and they won't do anything interesting.
Yeah. So I'm a fan of that. Anything else on mages?
I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say the design problem of they need to have hit points comparable to more melee focused opponents. That actually goes back to EverQuest, where the caster goblins that you meet in the early zones consistently have about as many hit points as the normal melee goblins, just because they need to last long enough to do something. And it's kind of the same deal. So I'm just as happy with 5.5 getting on that boat.
But Jeff, they have a wand instead of a component pouch this time.
Yay.
Well, it's a major redesign.
That's definitely something that a high enough level mage is definitely gonna. It's important to make sure they list that gear, not other reasonable gear that they would have. But
I mean, I am mainly just happy that there's still a fairly heavy presence of spells that work as spells, so that the mid and late game complexities of spellcaster counterplay can still have their day.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
That I think is something really satisfying that goes back as far as the earliest editions of the game, where you run into a powerful caster and they're kind of like you. You have some idea of what they can do because you can do it also.
Yep. Speaking of let's talk about Archmages. This is our CR12 version. I don't know if their spell choice is much reduced or if it just looks that way because they list them differently now. Because they don't...
Probably both.
Well, because before there was a comment, it was common to list them by spell level and then give them slots, which allows for upcasting and all those kinds of things. Now they don't do that. It's just everything is either at will, twice a day, once a day. And some of them are just always upcast, like Cone of Cold.
Well, there's not a lot of time stop.
Yeah.
Just saying.
I do think it's interesting that instead of giving them a 9th level spell, they have Cone of Cold cast at 9th level.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting mainly in that Cone of Cold is sort of only okay.
Right.
Yeah.
There are better scaling spells.
But they don't want to give them some sort of potentially game-breaking spell, I guess. You know, time stop.
Like Fireball?
9th level spells
Fireball?
can be 9th level spells can be campaign changing.
I agree with that, but maybe they should have not made Fireball just better. This is where it gets weird, right? This is one of those places where it is weird.
Yeah. Well, and it's so. Here's my. I've always had an issue with the Archmage stat block, and mostly I think the issue is in the name and how they use it. Because, like, I look at Curse of Strahd. You were just mentioning Curse of Strahd. There is an Archmage that shows up in Curse of Strahd, a famous Archmage from Greyhawk that shows up in Curse of Strahd, and then they throw on and say, "Well, use the Archmage stat block." That is a CR12 stat block for Mordenkainen is so woefully inadequate. I mean,
Right.
I guess it explains how he got beat down by Strahd, who is way weaker than that. but at least in that scenario, he's still throwing out an occasional 9th level spell. Now he's not even doing that using the new stat block.
He's throwing out a 9th level slot.
He's throwing out a 9th level slot to cast a 5th level spell.
Used for a spell that doesn't even really scale that well to 9th level.
Well, and here's where like Mind Blank is a great example of one of those counterplay spells, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's spending one of your biggest and best resources on something that will shut down a wide range of information gathering and attack.
It's also interesting to me though that they list Mind Blank as one of the spells, but then says it's already been cast. Well, then why not just make it a trait and put it there if it's just assumed to always be on?
Well, because if you cast a spell magic, it's not on anymore.
I guess.
And this makes it I will say in this case, compared to some of the stat blocks, that does make it much clearer that if you cast a spell magic, it's gone.
Sure, but you could also make it a trait and just say the Archmage has already cast the spell Mind Blank on themselves. Here's what that does.
That is a horrifying amount of extra column inches.
I mean, you can
No, you can't. You can't summarize shorter than Mind Blank cast before combat. You will not get your trait in 5 words.
You're right. You can't go shorter than that because that's almost non-existent.
Right. Like that's why they did that. Is my point.
Oh, right? and you know what? In fairness to them, they did summarize it because they explicitly put in the immunities Psychic and Charmed.
There you go.
Which is effectively
With
what
Mind
Mind Blank is doing.
So how much more do you want? Come on.
No, I've come around. Thank you.
And in the 5.0 Archmage, they don't include that, even though Mind Blank is called out as cast before combat, but they do call out resistance to non-magical bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing from stone skin.
Yeah.
Yep. And did they include mage armor in the AC? Yeah, they did. Well, they have they have the parenthetical.
Yeah.
So.
Now, the thing that I think is really funny though is that they are worse at history now.
Sure.
I don't know who looked at the Archmages plus 13 and said we got to fix that.
They did the math.
They decided it was too much to give them expertise in more things.
Yeah,
it's too much, Jared. Too much. You got to dial that back.
But they gained a perception bump, which they didn't have before.
That's probably good. It's going to come up a lot more.
Sure it is. Yep. Now, and I mentioned mage armor, but on top of the mage armor, they also got a better armor class. But their armor is better by 2 points for reasons. And they, like the mage before them, they have significantly increased, almost doubled their hit points.
Yeah, that's gonna matter a lot in just giving them a chance to use some of those tools, because actually keeping your distance when you're a CR12, like once you're CR12, the PCs pretty definitely could be dimension dooring and getting all up in your business.
Oh yeah.
No, thank you.
I will say this is not something that I'm going to say that they shouldn't have done. I'm just saying this is a thing that, knowing that I have had to teach newer people to D&D this and they still get annoyed with it when they forget about it. When you have your Archmage throw out Cone of Cold and then Misty Step, you will have to remind your players that just because one thing is a bonus action and one thing is an action, they're both full spells, so they can't do both of those, but the NPC can. Don't ask me again. That's
rude. Well, it doesn't say they expend a spell slot. You see, that's the thing.
They don't have spell slots anymore, so
right. But like my Githyanki Warlock can cast a spell with Pact Magic and then use Misty Step because it doesn't expend a spell slot.
Yeah, there you go. So, any other big changes with the Archmage? Not that I'm trying to move us along, but it's been about a half an hour. We've gone through almost one entry.
Nothing else really worth calling out.
Okay.
All of the mages are easier to use now and more likely to survive. There's just some weird quirks, but they're weird quirks. They're not like game-breaking, deal-breaker or anything.
No, I continue to have issues with the Archmage not being powerful enough, honestly. Like, I want to have a 12th level stat block, but that's not an Archmage. I need like an 18th or a 20th level stat block to be an Archmage, but whatever.
I do agree that, like, it's weird how they stop all of this fits onto a humanoid stat blocks at 12. That's a weird stopping point. And I would love to see something in the 17 to 20 space, because I love humanoid opponents even in the late game.
Right.
It is more relatable.
Agreed.
Frankly. And it's a lot of the supporting fiction likes that also, to be honest.
Yeah. So anyway, Magmen. Magmen are tiny little mischievous fire creatures.
Oh, it's not the John Hamm show?
No, Mag.
Oh.
Not mad. No. Yeah. Very clever. But no, they're effectively like, imagine a Quasit or an imp, but fire elemental and not specifically evil. Although mischievous.
They're sure not your friend, though.
No.
They're gonna burn your house down because, again, reckless elemental arsonist.
Right. I enjoyed the artwork for the Magmen, with the one character sort of blowing up the Magmen or watching it explode, and the other one sort of, while the one character is not paying attention, catching her spellbook on fire.
Yeah, and this Magman is just living his best life, right? Yeah. Like, he is burning stuff. It's great. He's so happy.
Are they concerned that their friend just exploded? No, shut up.
No, I'm neutral. Go to hell. I'm fine.
So Magmen, yeah. So they're a CR 1/2 little impish, annoying fire creatures. Creatures. They look like people, but they're on fire.
Yep. I guess I like these guys most in their like conjured, somewhat helpful ally situation.
Mm-hmm.
Whether they're somewhat helpful allies to the PCs or an NPC, that's kind of the most interesting. That sort of randomly burning crap down gets to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like they don't have what I sort of see as a super interesting society. They're not real bright.
Well, I mean, they are pretty bright.
Literally.
Well, their moms like them, but I'm not sure they're doing great at awards day after the school year.
They literally shed bright light.
Set.
They have an ignited illumination feature. They shed bright light. Although it's interesting that like they have all the same abilities. The death burst, ignited illumination, and then they're just fiery touch thing. I do much prefer the new organization of that, where they put ignited illumination under bonus action rather than making it a trait and then saying in the text that they can do it as a bonus action. Like, why you gotta make me think like that? Stop it.
Yeah, I mean, if you go through the whole 5.0 Monster Manual, there aren't a lot of bonus actions because they didn't want to do that. They didn't want to ask GMs to manage bonus actions also. This one, sort of slips under the bar because it is not entirely combat salient. If you forget it, you haven't ruined the combat.
Right. I find it interesting. Like they have more hit points now, but they lost their resistance to non-magical attacks. So,
well, that sort of explains the idea there.
Yeah. Although I would argue that I don't know that 4 extra hit points really makes that big of a difference compared to the non-magical attacks, which could make a bigger difference in some fights. But
I'm going to agree with you for sure.
They're CR 1/2, so it's really hard to cut.
It all kind of comes out in the wash.
Yeah. This is one of those monsters. Yeah, that's true. This is one of those monsters where it really kind of strikes me that the way the Monster Manual is written, it's written almost like an in-game thing, explaining what this thing is and how it works. And I think the Magman specifically, as an example, would be a good one to talk to the DM as a DM, not as a person reading lore, because it would be fun to say to them, hey, you can use these things, and if they're allies to your PCs, you should be having them accidentally set things on fire to complicate things. If they're being used by the NPCs as allies, they should be setting fire to something. Like some of those notes are what I think some of these things need a little bit more than as much as I've said it's bad that they took out some of the lore. I also think some of these things need that sort of thing a little bit more.
I would love if it became standard operating procedure for every monster stat block in their lore section to have 1 or 2 sentences sort of hinting at how these things might be used. Or not even hinting, explicitly telling you sort of standard use for these things.
Right.
And being clear that this is standard use and that DMs can be creative and do other things.
Yeah.
I think that would be...
I very much agree with that. Supporting like the stories and adventures and encounters is what this text should be for, and sometimes it gets a little skipped.
Yep. But other than that, the Magmen seem to be more or less the same. Small. They are in the category of small, extraplanar, annoying creatures that are low CR, like imps and mephits and quasits and, I don't know, half a dozen other things.
But they blow up when they die, which is always fun.
And so do some, mephits? I think some mephits also blow up.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think it's okay to go ahead and move on quickly to the next thing, which is our mains, which is our per episode reminder that this is a demon that's not listed under D's. It's a demon under M. So we talked.
I will say that the collective of mages was one of the places where, okay, you can have that one. That's a good reorg. Fine.
Sure. So yeah, mains are they're. We talked last time about some of the really minor sort of infernal creatures like lemures and dretches have come up before, or whatever. Mains are in that category. They're a CR 1/8 demon. They're small little creatures that boy from the art look like they should be undead but are not. They basically look like tiny little humanoid creatures with big claws that have rotting flesh and big gaping maws and dead looking eyes and all those things.
I will say there are not many monsters that I will say this for, but I don't think anything has made mains look nearly as cool as the AD&D first edition, because they just look like these weird skeletal things with these impossibly long claws. And it was like, oh, that's just scary. I don't care if it's easy to kill it. It just looks creepy and scary.
Now, we do have 2 mains stat blocks, and I don't remember there being a mains vapor spawn stat block before. Am I correct that that's new?
You're correct.
Okay. So this is a mains that has an obnoxious, sickening vapor sort of leaking out of it for 5 feet around it. So if you run up to it, you are at risk of being affected, being incapacitated by the sickening vapors coming off of the creature. They're still only CR1, so they're still not significant threats. It's strange, like in previous stat groupings, when they've decided that we need another version, jumping from like CR 1/8 to CR1 was not the reason we needed the other version. Like we needed a low level, a mid level, a high level, whatever. This time we get a low level and another slightly different low level.
Right. I mean, I think it was the Kobold where they were sort of, okay, we know you've got a 1/4, but have you ever considered a 1/8?
Right.
No. It might have been the Kobold, might have been something else. It was. I don't know anymore. It's been a while.
And the mains vapor spawn does all kinds of other interesting things. I guess not all, a bunch of others, but this contortionist ability does make them an interesting, like, low level. They have been summoned and are terrorizing the village, sort of thing. Like, and then
there's some
hiding
good
in the closet. They just sort of slip through the cracks of the closet or under the frame of the door or whatever.
Yeah, that's actually awesome and horrible. And I will say, since you're using these guys in large numbers anyway, you like the difference between CR 1/8 and CR 1 is kind of all right. So I want the whole encounter group to be mains, and I want one to be a little bit more special, or like I want to stack up like 10 of these dudes. Well, at 1/8 they're a challenge, but like 10 of them are a challenge for a level 1 party. At CR1, 10 of them are a challenge for like 3, 4, 5 level party.
Right. Yeah.
So there's something there, but it could be more.
Yeah.
I will say, and I understand, demons are chaotic, therefore their progression is not as logical as devils, but it is a little weird that the mains are the least demons, and then you have dretches, which are CR 1/4, and then you have other mains that are CR1 above dretches.
Mm-hmm. Well, and
yep.
Am I wrong? Like we talked about this with lemures, that's sort of what when your soul when you die and your soul goes to hell, the least demon that you manifest as is a lemure. Is that not the case with dretches? I thought that was what dretches were. So then what do you have to do to piss somebody off and become a main?
Dretches are not the baseline. Mains are actually the baseline. When you are a chaotic evil spirit that goes to the abyss, this is what you turn into.
That's this. There's a weird like, I don't know. How do you distinguish whether or not this dretch has qualified to become or this main is qualified to become a dretch or what? Like, it's not even like the what we talked about before with imps or whatever. Like, it's not, or in this case, like say a quasit. It's not like there could be a greater demon that says, "Hey, I need to have a quasit around. Let me just promote this dretch or whatever." The main and the dretch serve a very similar role.
I believe in the Abyss, it's a little bit more like you have absorbed enough just horrible, chaotic evilness that you have now mutated into this next form. It's not like somebody saying you deserve a promotion.
I see.
Well, I mean, it's more impersonal than that. It's like, okay, I need a new assistant. Get some guy in here from, I guess, the mailroom or something. Because, like, can any of them fix my copier? No, fine, get him here anyway. And suddenly you've got an imp, right?
Right.
Like like I would not say that the Abyss is even personal enough to make it about, oh, you did something cool. It's just like grabbing you out of the soup of mains down there, like Jabba grabbing something to eat.
Right. Yeah. It could just be an issue of like, you've survived the horribleness of the Abyss just long enough to get promoted.
Yeah.
So anyway, mains are pretty straightforward. Mains are pretty straightforward and simple creatures. You know,
They also don't change a whole lot.
Yeah, they've got a claw attack, and that's really about it.
Yeah.
Yep. Agreed.
So manticores.
All
right. So manticores, if you're not familiar, are lions with bat-like wings, but also they have spiked tails that can shoot those spikes. And then sometimes they also have spiked manes. I don't know that that's been canonically true in every edition of D&D, but they are depicted as having spiked manes here.
I have actually worked on a DM's Guild product to make manticores a PC playable species, as a direct reference to Onward, where frankly it's cool as hell. It's cool as hell.
Yeah.
And I'm really proud of that tiny project. I thought it was a lot of fun, and I'm sorry it didn't find its audience.
Yeah, I mean, and they're an intelligent, well, relatively intelligent CR3 creature. This is the kind of thing that can be, and they're not extraplanar or whatever. They're monstrosities, but that's the kind of thing that can pretty easily convert into a D&D species.
Yeah, I do like they specifically have negotiations as the thing. Like, this thing is going to actually want to talk to you and strike a bargain with you before it eats you.
Yeah, I mean, it operates sort of more like an individually powerful bandit in a lot of ways.
Right, and by powerful you mean it's got that annoying thing where it can fly and stay out of your reach and then just shoot tail spikes at you.
Yes, that one.
Yeah.
2 spikes in your head.
So they, as I'm looking back and forth in the stat blocks, they haven't actually changed much. Same hit points, same AC, same speed.
They are not asking you to track the number of spikes, though.
To touch on a point that my colleague Jared has made once or twice in his life, setting these guys at CR3 feels a little low. It's a little like setting lions at CR2. Like, y'all,
yeah.
It's the lion.
Yeah.
It deserves a little respect on its name, all right?
The lion bit alone is pushing CR3.
Right. A lion that can fly and shoot you. What?
Right.
That's awful. Oh, it's CR3. Yeah, we're going to be fine. Get me my slinging.
Although, and Jared points out, honestly, the biggest quality of life improvement here is that we got rid of spike regrowth. We don't have to wait 24 hours for the tail spikes to regrow and keep track of how many they have and all that.
Yeah.
I mean, kudos to you if you manage to get a kudos to you if you managed to get a Manicore to use all of its spikes.
All 24
and
spikes.
You did that as an intentional tactic, but that's a pain in the butt for the DM.
Yeah. I mean, 24 tail spikes, but 3 at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't see a whole lot that has changed on them other than Bite and Claw gets collapsed into Rend.
Yes. And honestly, they have a little bit less lore, but it's not actually that much less. But it is interesting the things they decided to focus on that are different. The 2014 Monster Manual has a lot about, they sometimes team up with giants or lamias or whatever, and they're rivals with chimeras and griffins, etc. But the 2024 version doesn't really deal with all that, but has other bits of lore that they focus on.
Yeah, and I will say that, like, hey, here are some loose suggestions of encounter groups that include these as one thing among several.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually real value, so there's some meaningful loss there to me.
Yeah, I agree.
They can't ally with other things, but suggesting some things goes a long way. It was always a very important part of 4E Steplux.
Mm-hmm.
Not just because I think that, animals are undervalued in their CR, but also if I had infinite pages, this is another one of those monsters where I would want a higher CR version of it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I agree.
No doubt.
I continue to really like the 2024 artwork. Like, the 2014 wasn't bad, but the 2024, just showing the Manticore in action and that it's in this environment and fighting somebody on a flying carpet, plays out well, but also harkens back to a specific sort of cultural connection, and where you might run into Manticores and that kind of stuff. I continue to be a fan of the artwork.
Yeah, the 5.0 art gives you a real good look at how hecked up this thing is.
How spiky it is.
Yeah. So spiky. Not good for hugs. Not a hugger.
Yeah.
But the dynamism of the 5.5 shot is definitely respectable, and like an aerial fight among stone columns, not to be missed. I like it.
It's cool. Although it looks better, I find it looks better and more dynamic in artwork and in movies than it usually plays out as at the table. But
yeah,
that's a different episode. So,
well, that's a great
I
case
will
of
say,
give me flyby attack, please, and thank you.
In the mythology corner too, I just throw out there that there are also a lot of depictions mythologically of them not having porcupine tails but having scorpion tails.
Nice.
So let's talk about Marids. Is this our? No, this is not our first genie.
Oh no.
We would have talked about DAOs by now. We would have talked about
Genies.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, the one with that starts with D.
Yeah, we talked. So in fact, this, if my alphabet is correct, this is our last genie. So,
yeah, I was gonna say I think we have touched on all the other ones.
So and D&D has long sort of categorized genies by their elemental focus. So our DAO is our Earth genie. Ifrit is our fire genie, and Jinn is our air genie, and Marid is the one that's left. This gets to be our water genie.
Weirdly, the only one without a humanoid face. Kind of Sahuagin face. Weird choice to me. Legacy choice, but weird.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's. I don't know what edition that started in. It's definitely not been true all the way back. Sure. Because there was a point in time when they were all just humanoid-looking genies, and I want to say that it was 2014 where they first did the fish look for the Marids, but I don't know for sure.
That said, I don't hate the look, and again, I like the dynamism. It's got this sort of weird spellcasting thing going on. It's almost spellcasting dance thing going on with water and fish swimming around it. Little tiny fishes.
I think the only thing that distracts me about making them more fish-like is I feel like that makes you think of things like Lokotha and Sahuagin and not genies.
I would
You know what I mean? Like,
kind of agree with that. They're trying to get across no, it's a genie with its attire, which is sort of a weird play. So, as a data point, in the second ed monstrous manual, there's only arguably Art of the Merid at all. There's 4 pieces of art or 5 types of genies. Do what you want with that.
So
none of them are fish based.
In classic genie style, Marids are one of the ones that can cast wish, but only on behalf of a non-genie creature. I don't believe that I think they're one of the other creatures that have added the restoration thing, where when they die they come back. I don't know that was true before for genies specifically.
No, they had elemental demise before. They left nothing behind, and their restoration was not established.
I believe it was one of those like, well, in previous editions, yeah, they reform in the plane of water, but you have to read a planar book, not a monster book, to figure that out.
Yep.
Yeah. Other than that, what changes do we have for the Marid?
Well, the wish thing becomes explicit, which is different.
Mm-hmm.
There's no wish supported in the 5.0 that I can find. There's some cool stuff it can do, but I don't think you can find the word wish on there. The sort of combat dynamic has moved away from I've got a cool trident by the recognition that tridents are simply not cool.
Sorry.
Sorry.
I believe Aquaman would like to have a conversation.
I have bad news about Aquaman.
Are you about to tell me that Aquaman is not cool? Because I got some comics you should read.
I believe this is a debate that's been going on in the fandom for substantially longer than my life and Jared's put together.
I don't know that
Also,
Aquaman is that old.
depending on. Oh yeah. Aquaman goes back to the Golden Age.
Yeah.
Arthur Curry is a very old character.
Oh, he is. That's true.
It's hard to figure out how we ever get distracted in this show.
No, not at all.
I don't know what you're talking about. If Tracy would shut up.
Yeah, it's right to the ball. This is well known. But they pick up, Misty Veil specifically as a bonus action. They had Fog Cloud before, but oh my lord, what a not good use of your turn. Right? Casting
Right.
Fog Cloud, even at will.
Mhm.
No, stop.
Yeah.
No, Fog Cloud is not to be used during a fight anyway. That's sort of the lead up, staging the fight, getting before any of that happens.
Yeah. Getting Fog Cloud to be useful usually requires some additional trait that keys off of it, but it is good for annoying the crap out of ranged attackers.
Right.
I
I do like the new Aquatic Lash, although it does come off a little bit Aquaman. Well, technically Mara.
I feel like a trident would have come off more Aquaman.
Yeah.
Yes.
More Mara or Aqualad, depending on the version
Yes,
of Aqualad.
but the idea of controlling water and using it as a lash or whatever is very established in the DC Comics lore.
Yes.
So,
Take that,
Yeah.
Namor. Anyway.
yeah.
So ultimately, I feel like the addition of aquatic lash and the sort of this presentation of water jet and the emphasis on wishes just makes this feel more complete. I
Water
ultimately
jet
like
is
this pretty well.
Water jet is a lot more effective because it's 10 feet wide instead of 5 and does 96 instead of 66.
That's a lot better.
Yeah.
Not a joke.
It is interesting to me that, like, the Merid, despite being a genie, and genies are all about their magical nature and all that kind of stuff, if you get into a fight with a Merid and you look at that spell list, it's still just going to be hitting you with water. It's just it's just physical attacks nonstop, because the spells and the magical nature of the thing is not playing into this fight probably.
Yeah, I mean, the fact of the matter is that because most of D&D doesn't take place in the water,
Right.
The majority of your core rule spells that they can draw on for the Monster Manual are water themed.
So what I'm hearing
Brandon,
is,
do you know of any products that
I feel like that means
Yeah, I know a guy.
Somebody should put together an alternate Merid stat block that might go, let's say, under the seas of some world. Maybe we call it Verdari or something.
Yeah, man, if I thought I could afford to write it and afford an editor, if I saw I could sell enough copies for that, I'm so down. It sounds like super fun.
I mean,
Awesome.
I will just say, as terrible as this sounds, and especially with my own hangups about, getting trapped underwater, this is the type of monster that really needs something that makes water show up in your lungs just, by snapping their fingers. That feels like a water genie thing to do.
It does kind of.
A lot of very water-focused creatures, including water elementals and so on, have this same amount of. You have one cool water trick, water jet, whirlpool, whatever you got, and then just beating the crap out of you with my fists or whatever. Right? That's actually sort of a through line. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I really like that album.
Anything else on the Merid?
Oh.
We are.
I'm all good.
We are about an hour into our recording. Do we want to try to squeeze one more in to give ourselves a little bit better of a shot next time, or call it here for the night?
I think we can do the Merilith.
All right, let's talk Merilith. Merilith is another demon. Meriliths are the historically they are the upper body of a woman, lower body of a giant snake, but with 4 arms. And I believe, was it second edition, depicted scandalously unclad, but with
that was first edition.
Was it first edition? Conveniently conveniently located like weapons and arms and things.
Yeah.
Now it's interesting. I only point out the look. Not only for I like to make sure people who aren't as familiar with D&D listening to this might know what we're talking about here, but it's also notable because the new artwork is dramatically different than anything else we've seen before.
Oh yeah, this is a pretty sort of masculine presenting Merilith.
Mm-hmm.
They very much want to not sort of create gender binaries in their monsters, or really not even gender binary. Like, this monster has one gender. All of this monster are boys. All of this monster are girls.
Sure.
This one wears blue. This one wears pink.
But even that is, even if we accept the adding of a different gendered Merilith. It's also just a different look. It doesn't.
Oh, for sure.
It's not a human-looking upper half. It's humanoid-looking upper half, but it's covered in blue, purple scales and has horns all over its head and all kinds of things that don't match what Merilith used to be.
Right, and it really emphasizes the musculature of 6 arms. the way all of its predecessors
Ignored.
very much don't.
Yeah.
Right?
Jared, what were you trying to say?
It almost reminds me of in 4th edition when they tried to push towards devils look more like humanoids and demons are all completely monstrous.
Yep.
That's almost what this reminds me of here.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then there
The
were weird,
2014
then there were
Merrill
weird
is-
exceptions, and so they had to come up with weird lore explanations as to why there's exceptions.
Yeah, the 2014 Merilith is very clearly just a 6-armed humanoid from the waist up.
Yeah. And they have been basically for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
But this is clearly not. They are covered head to toe in purple-blue scales.
So one of the amazing things about them is that their reactive trait is sort of micro legendary actions, right? Because you might have a ton of reactions and do a lot of stuff, or not. You don't really know. It just depends on how the PCs very foolishly provoke. But like, it's interesting because it makes the monster's damage output so unpredictable.
Right. And it's particularly interesting. So they give it this reactive ability that allows it to have a reaction on every turn. And that only has one listed reaction ability, and that's parry, which means it's probably going to be just parrying every turn, although it could also mean opportunity attacks and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
But I mean, and its parry adds 5 to its AC, which is not insignificant. It already has an AC of 16, so basically every time somebody attacks it, its AC is going to be 21 for that first attack, or that first time that an attack maybe hits.
And here's where I'll point out that this AC is actually 2 points lower.
Yeah.
Right? It used to be going from 18 to a very respectable 23.
For a CR 16 creature, an AC of 16 is pretty low.
It's pretty low.
But add +5 to the first melee attack every turn.
We're somewhere, yeah.
Yeah. So.
And it's not a change, but I will say from a DM standpoint, I hate things that have different numbers of reactions because I never remember it. Like I know it's right there in the stat block, but that does not jump out enough to make me go, "Oh, this thing reacts every time."
This one bothers me less because I'm not tracking the number of reactions. It's just every single turn it gets to keep doing it. That's a little bit easier to remember than like it has 4 reactions or whatever. That's a bit.
Yeah.
I do think it's weird that we have these top end demons that have they have teleport. That's pretty much the full extent of their magical firepower.
Yeah, no, it's weird.
Yeah. Sort of what I'm trying to say about the sense of counterplay, right? The Merilith doesn't do it. Right. They don't engage that dynamic at all because they just want to get up in your face and mug you.
Yep, they're going to get up in your face. They're going to attack 6 times with their packed blades that does 10 slashing damage and 7 necrotic damage on a hit. It can also throw in a constrict and hit you with and wrap you up in its snake tail and whatever. It's going to parry a lot. But that's its whole shtick, is it's got 6 arms and it's got weapons in those arms and it's going to use them a bunch.
Considering that it's going to attack so many times, that's a fairly meaningful improved damage in the packed blade. So longsword used to be an average of 13. Now you're talking about an average of 17. Mapped across 6 attacks, we're getting somewhere.
Yeah. It's also you kind of alluded to this that they used to just use weapons, and now they're using these packed blades, which are depicted in the art as being not typical weapons. They're weird demon savage-looking things that, of course, are not listed under gear, so they are not lootable. Don't ask.
Right. I mean, they had kind of strange blades before, sort of a mix of Kopesh's and no, that would never work, and so that's a Chinese style of weapon with the ring at the hilt. I don't remember the right name of that.
Are you looking at 20?
I'm looking at 5.0. Yeah. As a comparison.
The Maryland art that always appears in my head is AD&D second edition. So
yeah, for sure.
I do kind of like the trend of things that have things like constrict, it being just the save instead of the attack and then the save and all of that. Not just for simplicity, but also I like the idea that it has attacks that it uses against armor class, but if you do have that one PC that you cannot hit no matter what, they still might have to deal with something from this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And they picked up a pretty nice number of hit points. Looking at 31 hit points. I mean, that's not staggering, but it's probably a hit, maybe two.
Yeah.
Could matter.
I mean, and it's another one of those, it doesn't have immunity to non-magical weapons, so that's kind of why they pick it up, but at the same time, by the time you're fighting a CR16 thing, you had magic weapons. You always had magic weapons.
But also 31 hit points isn't, like, it's not going to live an extra round with those 31 hit points.
No, not likely. Gaining a climb speed is sort of, sure, I guess. Well, whatever. You have teleport. I'm glad you have a climb speed.
Right. And it's not even
but the teleport is recharge. So
yeah, so it's a recharge teleport. It's not even like a once a day teleport or whatever.
Yeah, it used to be just an action teleport.
Yeah.
Right? At least now it's a bonus action,
Yeah.
even if it's a recharge.
So it's a little more skirmishy. It can pop up behind you and hit you 6 times.
Yep.
Cool.
This is one of those where I almost wish it had per day instead of a recharge, though, because it I don't know. I kind of wish it had more of a chance to know for sure that it's going to be able to do it again, but you know.
I agree with that, though I actually would accept it if they cut the "it can see," so it can just leave completely, wait for a recharge, and then come screw with you again once it's good and ready.
Well, yeah, because a Marilith should be a villain type monster, and by that I mean something that is planning things and could disappear and then come back and harry you again, multiple times. Right.
Like they have usually been depicted as tacticians. This just calls them a demon of cruelty and viciousness, which
Well, and the 5.0 Marilith, that teleport, it was an action, so it wasn't going to come up in combat very often, but it was also infinite, and it wasn't you can see, so it could just use it to disappear, heal up, and then wait for the right moment and pop back in, right? Now it's a recharge, so it's going to use it, once every 3 rounds, and it can only teleport where it can see, and that's a different style of play.
My 5.0 does still have it can see.
Does it? Oh, you're right. It does say it can see. No, I missed that.
Anyway,
you're right.
Yep.
Anyway, I mean, these are still very cool. I am surprised by the loss of 2 points of AC. I do like the just default initiative of 20. They have proficiency in initiative as it comes out. That's not a joke. That means that they're very likely to get to take some actions before they get sunlocked or whatever. Mm-hmm. It's still strange to me that we don't see a lot of Baelors and Mariliths with legendary actions.
Right.
I know, they definitely feel like they should. It's weird that, these pinnacle demons are like, well, no, they're not legendary. They're just big demons.
Yeah. Weird.
And on that note, I was just going to say, there is a famous named Marilith from the Icewind Dale video game, Yxaname, who I absolutely love because that's just a great name.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like
you
that.
You don't start snake cults in the frozen part of the Forgotten Realms and not be a legendary monster. I mean,
it's a weird place to choose for your snake cult. I say as an Irishman.
So some people like a challenge, okay?
There's if you read Bob Salvatore's books, there's also a named Merilith in one of those books.
Do you think it's easier to start a snake cult if people don't have any pre-existing experience of snakes to be like, oh, I don't like this?
I was going to comment.
I wonder what a snake is. This seems cool.
I was going to comment on how Bob Salvatore came up with, in classic Salvatore way, it was brilliant at naming conventions and named his named Merilith Merilith.
Oh, good. Well, okay.
No, there was a story reason for that, but yeah.
Well, it actually goes back to the DMG and the fact that actually what we call these monsters now was not their names. It was the names of it was type 4 demon example names, and then these were actually names. They weren't the actual name of the species. But at some point people said, well, type 4 demon sounds very technical. And so those names just started to turn into, yeah.
No, well, and the story explains, like, there are many demons called Meriliths, but they are all named for the original, like, epitome of Merilith.
Because of course he has to double down and explain it instead of just realizing it was a thing that happened.
Right. So anyway, any more on Meriliths, or should we wrap this up?
I like the stat block. I wish they had something else, like we were saying, like it's been past lore that they're tacticians, and there's like nothing of that in there.
Right. Well, and I would argue that the bonus action teleport gives them an opportunity to be more tactician-y. There's more strategy that can be done now than what could be easily before, but it's not in the lore. So I guess you can't do it. Don't be clever. Stop it. All right. Any more on Meriliths, or can we call that the end of the episode? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 monsters done. We've only got like double that to go to finish the end. So I'm going to go ahead.
That's okay.
Go ahead.
We don't want to go into Medusa's cold because that's going to be a whole thing.
No, we'll do Medusa's next time. So we're going to call that the end of this episode. I want to say thanks to Jared. Thank you for joining us. If people want to find more Jared in their world, how can they find it?
Oh, you don't want that. Oh, okay. No, wait, actually. You could listen to the podcast that I do with my friend Ange, which is Thaco with Advantage, that I'm going to keep pronouncing that way just because I see Jeff like twitch a little bit every time I do that.
I'm used to people pronouncing it wrong. It's fine. Also want to say thank you for joining us to Brandis. Brandis, go ahead and give people the spiel about where they can find more Brandis.
Well, at this point, they can probably say it along with me, but you can find me on Blue Sky at Social. You can find me on the Tome Show Discord. My personal blog is BrandisStoddard.com, and my Patreon is Brandis Stoddard.
I also want to thank everybody who supports us by being patrons over at patreon.com/The Tome Show. Your support helps me pay the bills, and that makes the show more possible. Thanks goes out to our higher tier supporters, Doug Palmer, Hyperlexic, Trash Panda, and Michael Harrison. For as little as $1 a month, you can also help pay the bills and maybe help me do some upgrades here coming up. Thanks to all of our patrons for their support.
Awesome. And if you'd like to contact us, you can send an email, thetomeshow@gmail.com. And you can find us on the various social medias, usually Sarah Dark Magic, that's Sarah with an H, and Jeff is Squatch, SQACH.
And that's episode 402, where we marched malicious malcontents to Missouri as we discuss the Monster Manual for the 22nd time in this episode of
The Tome.
I'm on the wall.